Hey, hello, hi, hey. God, I gotta get better at starting a podcast. Hey, everybody, welcome to another glorious episode of Jeff Has Cool Friends. My name is Jeff May, and you heard the title. I have cool friends, and every couple of weeks, I like to introduce one of them to you or reintroduce one of them to you. And I'm very excited to have this guest back, first time on Jeff Has Cool Friends, but a spiritual sequel from the other show that we previously did. One of my closest friends out here, a super, super talented writer and creator, and an absolute unit from the Massachusetts JFK. The
Boy,
you played JFK or his kid or
I did.
something?
I did. We'll get into that. I have a whole 5 pages I wrote about it. That
A
one.
former auditioner of Robin,
Yeah, jeez.
Tom Krajewski. Tom, how you doing, bud?
Hey, bud, thanks for having me. It's good to be interviewed again by you. I think it's been
A
four
while.
years.
It's been
4 years.
about 4 years, yeah. It's been
Yeah.
a while. We
Wow.
recorded together in mid 2020, I
Was
believe.
that when it was? Oh,
think
wow.
I think because I looked it up and I believe that's when it was. It was towards mid like third quarter 2020.
Well, I'm honored that you chose to specifically interview me today because you knew my birthday was tomorrow,
I
right?
do actually know that your birthday is tomorrow, as
Did
a
you?
matter of fact. So today, the day of
Yeah.
release, it is Tom's birthday.
Oh,
So head
really?
on over. Yeah, if you look right
Is it
here,
on your
I can hold it
calendar?
up, but my thing says Tom K B
Okay.
Day right on my schedule. So
Look at that.
if you'd think that I don't have your birthday in my calendar, now, did I do anything about it? Absolutely not.
Yeah.
But
Well,
it is in there, and I was going to message you and say thank you, but instead I was like, well, why don't we just do a podcast?
dude,
Uh,
I appreciate it. Thanks for having me. I always love talking to you, so this is cool. Thanks, man.
yeah,
I'm honored to be a quote unquote cool friend.
I'm honored to have you as a cool friend. Everybody, stop what you're doing right now. Find Tom Krajewski, Krajewski, on social media, and wish him a big ol' happy birthday because that's what he wants to do. He wants to deal with that.
Indeed.
Tom, we met at the gym. We were
Yes.
introduced because the guys like you guys are white guys from the same place.
You both wear Red Sox hats.
Yeah, there was guy Adrian,
Adrian.
who looked like
Yeah,
tall LL Cool J,
he did.
and he
He
was
did.
like, "Come meet this motherfucker. You guys are gonna like each other." And he was right. He nailed it, and we
Yeah.
became friends.
He's a
And
friend matchmaker, that guy.
I just recently texted you, and kind of one of the reasons that I wanted to do this show is about 2 days ago was the 10th anniversary of you and I having a Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles movie marathon together.
Yeah, yeah, like I responded back in the text. It feels crazy that the best day of my life ever was actually 10 years ago.
10 years.
Feels like
I did not. I forgot I was here for 10 years. I was like, that was
I
10 years
know.
ago. I had already had a friend with a house and we ate pizza and watched Ninja Turtles.
I was just gonna say that we fittingly on brand got the pizza from the Ninja Turtles movies. I don't know if you can say
Did
brand names on here, but we did get
we purposefully ordered Domino's? Yeah, it was
Domino's
very
pizza.
funny. Yeah. And it
That
was
was
like one of those things where because I remember we were having the conversation about it and you were like, there's better pizza places nearby. And I was like, sure, but none of them that are in this movie.
Ninja
So
Turtles movie.
let's get Domino. Let's have a sodium attack.
Yeah,
And we
yeah, it
did.
hasn't affected our health at all, I'm sure. Uh,
No, 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 no.
that
But
was 10
you
years ago. Crazy, yeah.
And since then, there's been so much stuff has happened. When I met you, you were a writer of television, primarily of cartoons.
Yeah.
And boy, what a resume you've got. I mean, we're talking Fairly Odd Parents, we're talking like Madagascar, Iron Man, Superman, obviously. You wrote on Ninja Turtles.
It did. That was a dream come true. That was, yeah.
You wrote what like Razars for
Yeah. Oh my
superheroes, right?
gosh. Yeah. Razar. Yeah. Yeah.
You've written Max Steel, Looney Tunes, obviously Buddy Thunderstruck. You were, big writer on that show.
Don't forget Care Bears,
You've written Care Bears, you've written Scooby Doo,
Scooby Doo, and Snoopy. Yeah.
yeah, Stretch Armstrong.
Yeah.
You've written a lot of Scooby Doo, actually.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
did
Scooby
you?
Doo is pretty cool.
Am I having a stroke and trying to remember that you were involved with Top Cat in some way? Was that
Oh
you?
my gosh. Wow. You remember that? Yes. So there was this, I think, South American studio that was doing a sequel to their first Top Cat movie. And they brought me in during the storyboarding phase. They'd already recorded it. And I think my good friend Charlie Adler was the voice director on that and plays the character. But so they brought me in to punch it up because that's what I get hired to do kind of like on the sly a lot. but I did work on Top Cat Part 2 called Top Cat Begins. How could I say, Batman Begins, Top Cat Begins?
I'm Top Cat.
Top Cat. What are you, man?
I'm Top
Top
Cat.
Cat. But yeah, I did do that. I've been really lucky to do a lot of animation. So it's helped me, pay the bills, man. It's
One
a
of
very
the
fun job to have if you can get it. Very fun.
that is really cool. And also like Top Cat, because it's just an insane thing that it just no American distribution for Top Cat. Like
I know.
I remember Top Cat. One of the things in my research, and it's weird researching somebody who you've known very
Yeah.
deeply for so long, is that you were, and correct me if I'm wrong, because the internet sometimes has misinformation or applies things to different people. Were you a PA on the Anna Nicole show?
Oh yeah, I was the Anna Nicole show for the E Network. I was a PA.
Anna Nicole
So
Smith's show.
The Anna
Can,
Nicole show, yeah.
before we jump to all of the really amazing things that you've created and done and
Mhm.
produced in your own work, what was that job like? Like I've
Uh,
been a PA. For those of you that don't know, a production assistant is basically you're like a gopher, you're a drone in whatever production that you're working on.
lowly paid drone,
It's a
terribly paid.
thankless job with not great pay, but if you can suffer it out, they might move you
Yeah,
into a place where you could benefit.
yeah, yeah, yeah. And on that show, I don't think it's ever really quite fun being a PA on, and especially any kind of reality
I
show.
I didn't mind
Um,
the one I was on,
oh really?
the
Okay,
cooking
yeah. I
show.
mean, oh, that's right.
That was the one that I worked on with Anthony Bourdain,
That's
though, and
right.
like
That would be
everybody wanted to talk to him about
more.
food, and he's
Yeah.
like,
Why not?
yeah,
Yeah, no, that actually sounds, really fun. This show in particular, like it was just a lot of logging of tapes and driving people to and from her house. I did have to drive her and her son once or twice, and her lawyer Howard K. Stern. So that was interesting to have Anna Nicole Smith like in the passenger seat of my 2000 Saturn. This junky old beat up car, and she was right next to me as I'm driving her around. And then I drive her son to school for a week. And so they ended up dying. So basically, don't ever be the passenger in my car because I feel like
yeah, that
maybe you're
was
destined to have a bad.
was I know that, like obviously when people pass and everything like that, like no, you don't want like, TMZ rag shit, but like
Yeah,
at the time, because like she was living a tumultuous life and
yeah,
unfortunately, paid the result of it. But like what was she like? Like
yeah.
I've always wondered about that, like when the
Yeah,
camera's off.
yeah. She was nothing but nice to me. Like I didn't have too much interaction with her, but it's not like she'd ever speak to me. Like when she was sitting in my car with me, like she didn't say much, but she was never mean or snobby or anything. She was just nice and quiet. And her son, I think, he was really quiet because I believe at the time he was getting picked on at school because of the TV show. So I felt bad for him. I had to drive him to school for a week. But she was just really nice, and that's it. I mean, I the a few years after she had passed away, I got contacted. We all did. Everybody who worked in the show. The FBI contacted us to interview us to see what we had seen on the show, like anything suspicious. And I was like, no, I wish I had a better story for you. But she was always just nothing but nice. I never saw her engaged in any illicit things. So
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, it wasn't like the best job, but luckily I wasn't working with total jerks.
Like, but yeah, it is always interesting. I remember I dated a girl who was Paris Hilton's body double.
Oh, really?
And so
That's
like so like if you remember like the Carl's Jr. commercial or
yes.
like the Stars Are Blind, every time you don't see Paris's head, it was my ex's body. And
And suddenly everybody, all your listeners just got jealous that you did as someone who,
I mean I think people that have stuck with me long enough know
yeah,
exactly who that is and everything like that. I
yeah,
just don't think she wants her name on my show
of course,
being said
gotcha.
out loud. But and she would always say like Paris Hilton was one of the nicest people I've ever worked with. And I've worked with a ton of people.
Yeah.
And she was like, Paris Hilton was nicer to the crew
Oh,
than any of the most famously nice people.
oh wow,
Like
that's
she was
cool.
like really appreciative and stuff. And she was like really eloquent, she would
Mm,
say. She was like, she was very well spoken
wow.
and then so different than
Yeah,
the
exactly.
persona. And that's kind of why I asked about the Anna Nicole thing because like,
Yeah,
she was really, really going heavy into like ditzy baby energy
you
on that
are.
show.
Yeah.
And then you're like, but what's she like when the camera's off and like it's not a money making enterprise anymore?
Yeah, I mean, she probably still was fairly ditzy, but at least she was nice, and I think that counts for a lot. I also have a autographed Playboy of hers that we somehow got our hands on. So one of her
Give me that.
final, I know, I will. It's all yours.
I had a poster. I had her calendar when I was a kid.
Geez.
I had a
Of course.
poster. I loved her.
Yeah.
I liked Anna Nicole Smith. She was my like.
Dude, Naked Gun 33 and a third, the final insult.
Boy, does that not age well, huh? That big
Yeah.
reveal at the end
No, no.
that she was trans, and everyone's like, no. And now you look at it and you're like, well, that wasn't good.
Cringy.
That kind of joke ain't good. No, I just was fascinated about that
Yeah.
because I know that you've done like weirdly, like didn't you did like consultant work for like Power Rangers too, right?
Oh
Like you
yeah,
did like
that's
a dinosaur one.
yeah. So Power Rangers, just right as the pandemic started, they were still shooting over in Australia, and they hired me to punch up, I think, a full 2 seasons of their scripts to be a little more modern with the comedy. So that was a really good job. It's a little stressful to take those scripts and kind of have to work within their guidelines of, you can't be too out there or wild or adult, but they want it to be a little, age it up a little bit. It was difficult, but it was cool to be part of the Power Rangers for 2 seasons. Yeah, I think it was called Power Rangers Dino Force or something like
Yeah.
that.
That's
But
cool.
it
You
is
you
cool.
have one hell of a I think the last time that we talked, I think the one that had come out or was about to come out or whatever was Boy Girl
Oh
Dog
my,
Cat Mouse Cheese,
yeah.
which was a show that you had done like a full season of
Yeah.
being like a
So
writer and story editor of, right?
exactly. And for the listeners who don't know, the story editor position is basically you are the head writer. In live action, it's a little different. It means you're kind of like lower on the totem pole. But as the story editor, I was in charge of all the writing, which is a big job in
Yeah.
animation. And we did, yeah, the show was called, yes, Boy, Girl, Dog, Cat, Mouse, Cheese, which is a mouthful. But we did 3 full seasons of this show. And basically, if you know your cartoons on TV these days, it's a lot like Loud House on Nickelodeon, which is a big hit for them. And yeah, so we did 150 episodes, basically, or 150 11-minute episodes. So that equals, what, about, sheesh, how many?
75? Is it
75 half hours, I guess you'd say that.
yeah,
Yeah.
because it's 20 every half
Yeah,
hour
you're
episode is
right.
22 minutes and then
Yeah,
commercials, right?
yeah, exactly. I don't know how I couldn't do that math, but so
Because you're a
we
dumb
just,
guy.
I'm a dumb guy. I'm just a big dummy. But we did 3 seasons. I just finished that job last August. So it was a great job. The people that did that show did the show that I did before on Netflix called, yes, Buddy Thunderstruck, which if
But
you're
it's
listening,
thunderstruck.
if you like dumb comedy, like in the style of it's the best show I've ever worked on, and it's by Seth Green's people over at Robot Chicken. So it's stop motion animation. We did, I think, 20 half-hour episodes, and it's just like it's the dumbest, funniest thing I've ever worked on. I
It's
was
goofy white trash, like
you could
stop motion
yeah,
felt kind of
yeah,
like, you know what? It kind of has, yeah, like the energy, obviously, of, the animation style of
yeah.
Robot Chicken, but like it has very 70s energy to it, which I really enjoy. It was a really fun,
Yeah,
it's fun. That's a fun show. I actually am really bummed that it got like buried by Netflix because
yeah.
I think if that was given an opportunity to be seen by more people, I think it would have done much better because it's cool. It was very sort of like not necessarily a little Dukes of Hazzardy
Oh, it was
with like
highly inspired by Dukes of Hazzard.
Cannonball Run, Dukes of
Yes.
Hazzard, Smokey and the Bandit. And it's funny, like you had actually managed to finagle me an audition
Oh, that's right.
for that. And
Nick, the new guy, I believe, was a character you auditioned
oh
for.
no, you sent there was like four characters that you
Yeah.
guys sent me for, and there was one that I really pushed forward, and the you sent me to a director, like a
Yep.
casting,
You went down to actually in person to audition,
I
right? You
did, and she had like these like Emmys everywhere.
yeah,
She was like,
yeah,
no, voice directing me.
yeah.
Like
She
my
was working.
audition was through voice direction, and I was like, I thought I did really well, and she's like, this is great. She's like, I've done plenty of these, and then Ted Raimi got the gig, and I was like, well, I can't beat that. Like, you can't. Does he need it? All right,
Okay.
well,
Yeah,
I guess
Ted.
I'll go myself. But it was like such a cool opportunity. That was my first big
Was it?
non-reality show audition that I'd gotten in LA
Oh,
was
was it really?
voiceover.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, it helped get the audition because when I mentioned you to the producers, he and I had already went to see you do a comedy show, so he knew who you were. He's like, that guy is funny. Yes, let's bring him in. So it was my boss Ryan Wiesbrock who created the show,
Oh yeah.
who pulled for you to get you really to come into audition. But yeah, Ted Raimi was also my other friend.
Yeah.
So
I
so my
understand,
boss.
like I understand that Ted Raimi is going to get more people to watch the show than Jeff May is. I was
Yeah.
bummed by it because I was like, when it happened, I was like, he doesn't need a job. But then in my head, I was just like, it's better that he worked for them for the show. Like, I
Yeah.
get it. Like, I'm not mad that I didn't get picked,
To-
but I was at first. But it was
yes.
also just like, this is his town. Like, I'd already missed out on like other shows that
Yeah.
wouldn't have changed my life the way I thought they would have at the time.
Exact.
So
Right. Did I tell
yeah,
you I also had to reach out? Maybe I told you this the last episode, and I'm repeating myself, or last time we interviewed.
it's all right
But I
because
did.
we don't go back to that old show.
Those don't exist anymore.
Yeah.
I also reached out to Bruce Campbell so he could play Buddy Thunderstruck. So because we wanted Bruce Campbell and Ted Raimi.
Mhm.
So Bruce was like a neighbor at the time, and Jennifer, my writing partner and ex-wife, like she was pretty good friends with Bruce's wife, and so we got to know him a little bit, and we reached out to him to ask him to audition, and he said that I think it was just an excuse. He's like, like I'm too wrapped up doing the Ash versus Evil Dead TV show
Oh yeah.
to. Like he said he couldn't commit because he was dedicated to that network. He had the deal
Stars
with
or something.
them,
It was, I think, Stars or whatever.
stars.
I
So
get it. Like, also though,
yeah.
if I was him, I'd be like, I don't audition.
I think that was also no,
Like,
that's what his wife had told me. Is I was like, yeah, we'll talk to Bruce. Let's talk to Bruce, but just in warning, he doesn't audition, and I don't think that was ever a thing. Like we wanted him to audition. Like, why would we want him to audition? Just bring him in,
yeah,
Bruce
bring him
Campbell.
in. Like, because I think at that point in time, everyone's if you go to Bruce Campbell because you want Bruce Campbell, not because you want to see what he can
Let
do.
me see.
Bruce Campbell would hide that. Yeah, I kind of the character that I went for, like the sidekick
Yeah,
character, I was
Darnell.
basically
Yeah,
doing like a Southern Johnny Knoxville was
yeah.
sort of the voice that I was bringing in. And then I also did a tryout for like the antagonists.
Oh, you did, which also Ted Raimi got.
Huh? He sure did. No, everyone I tried out for Ted Raimi got. And I was basically doing a sort of Americanized Jeremy Irons
Yeah,
was the
yeah.
voice that I had brought to it. You idiot, kind of stuff. And
Die Hard with a Vengeance, Jeremy Irons.
yeah, I want to play a game with Lieutenant McLean. But
Ooh,
yeah,
that's good.
but yeah, not good
We
enough.
didn't cast you.
Not good enough. But it is also one of those things where like you never know how you did
Yeah.
because you're your own critic. I remember I just recently the Tops video that I did VO for was recorded and I swore they were going to reject the audio.
Really?
I was like, this sucks. Like I did this with with like a throat injury. Like they're gonna say it's not what they're looking for. They're gonna thank me for it, whatever. And then I got an email like a week later. It's like, this is perfect. This is
Yes.
exactly it. Thank you. And I was
Yeah.
like, yeah, glad I didn't tell you I hated the takes.
That's awesome.
Um, yeah, you
Yeah,
never know.
you can never tell.
No.
When I probably again told you the story before, but back in like 2007, I went into audition when I was still trying to do some more acting out here. I went into audition for this pilot on CBS called Protect and Serve. So it was about cops, and the cast was Dean Cain and somebody else. But I went into audition, and it was one line. They sent me the script like a week in advance just to audition. And I'm like, oh yeah, I've acted a ton before. I can memorize lines easily. I've starred in Oliver. I starred in Pinocchio, James and the Giant Peach. I'm an actor.
All these
JFK.
children roles.
Roles from 30 years ago. I could still act, right? So I go into the audition and that's one line. And they say, all right. And then we do the reading. And halfway through my line, I forget the line. And I'm like, oh, I'm sorry. And they're like, yeah, that's okay. Just do it again. So I do the line again, and I blow it halfway through. I forgot the rest of the line. I froze, and I never froze before. And then we did it like one more time, and I started getting really mad. I started swearing and like yelling at myself. And the guy's like, "Whoa, whoa, whoa! Just chill. Just go
Yeah.
outside and reset and come back in." And so I go outside, and the next guy goes in. I'm just like so mad at myself. I go back in. I do the line. I storm out of there. And then the next day they call and tell me I got the part. And I was like, "Really?" It's like after I blew the line like 3 times in a row and swore loudly at myself.
And you
But
got it, man.
yeah,
Like
man,
that's awesome. Like that's
you can never tell. I think that was the
yeah.
joke in like what's that movie, Michael Rappaport. I think it is the same thing in. But I think there's a movie where he plays a character. I think it's a Tarantino movie that blows the audition. I don't remember.
Yeah.
Maybe it's True Romance or something. Anyways, Jeff, what were we talking about?
You also played a pirate
In a
on
SpongeBob
a
music video.
SpongeBob SquarePants, and you also were in a music video. It was a music video,
It
right?
was the music video
With
with Pink.
Pink.
Pink. That was awesome. Another good story about a really nice celebrity. I got that because I had just finished working at Nickelodeon at the time, but I heard that they were auditioning for this 10th anniversary for SpongeBob for this music video. And so I knew the casting director at Nickelodeon. I sent her my headshot, and she had to get it all approved with Pink. Pink had to approve the headshots for the
Mhm.
pirates that would be in
To
this
know
video.
what they looked like. Yeah.
So it's just me and these two other guys. So I got the role and I go in and Pink, she was super, super nice. And she was battling a flu at the time. So someone who was like dying basically was just like super nice to all of us. She wanted to get out of there,
Yeah.
obviously, because she
Stage
wasn't
help.
feeling
Like,
well.
let's get this done and get the hell out of here.
Yeah, but she was also super nice. So I can find that video online every once in a while and I post it because it's just really cool to be in this silly SpongeBob video with Pink as a pirate and my teeth fall out in the video. It's silly. It's dumb.
Yeah. You
Yeah.
were also an actor in a thing called Heart Baby Eggplant.
Oh yeah, my friend Allison Hayslip. Your friend Allison. You know Allison.
I don't. I don't
Yeah.
actually know Allison. You know Allison because you worked on a podcast with her, right?
Her and Alex Albrecht for the it was through I don't remember who
You,
where we were originally.
you
Maybe
were
you
like
were.
the man in the chair for them too, right? Like
Yeah, and
you were
I didn't enjoy it. I didn't like that. I don't like being the sidekick to these things. I'd rather just not. But I mean, they were really cool. I
wait,
just
wait, you just like you don't like that role or you didn't like working on the show?
it's probably
Was it exhausting or
no, it was just it's a whole thing in its own. I just those two are like pretty. You can see why they're such great like hosts and stuff. Like when I was younger, I used to want to be an actor and performer. Not so much anymore, but when
yeah.
you see these two and they have this great banter and they're really funny, it's awesome. I just couldn't keep up with them, and I just didn't care to because it's not in me, and I don't need to perform anymore. But they so like I think that's one reason I didn't enjoy it because they were like so good. I'm like, wow, you guys don't need me. Like they were
Oh,
incredibly funny.
yeah,
Yeah.
I've been in scenarios like that.
Yeah.
Like when I've hosted panels. I when I hosted the My Hero Academia panel,
Yeah.
I went to the like the booker of like who assigned me that, and I was
Yeah.
like, and I kind of told her I was like, look, you just gave me free money.
Yeah.
And I said I was like, look, I don't mind doing this
Yeah.
specific role. It was very easy for me.
Yeah.
You could have put one of your volunteers up to introduce four people and then
Yeah.
let them go,
Yeah.
and not put me on a one-on-one.
Yeah.
Like use me
Exactly.
for what I'm so good at,
Yeah.
because it was me just being like, yeah, that's really cool. And then have them go back at it. And everyone's like, shut the up. Like, why are you up there?
Exactly. And
You
that's kind
know?
of how I felt with this too. But it's like, hey, whatever, I got paid
Yeah.
too. So it's like, I'll take the money if no one's complaining about
Well,
me being here.
oh, that's exactly right. Yeah, that's exactly right. Where I was like, that was free money. And then right after that was when I was supposed to host Meatloaf, and he
Oh,
fucking told me not to go anywhere near him. And so I got paid for that one.
he, he told you not to go anywhere
Did I
near
not
him?
tell you that story?
No, I don't think so.
I went to go introduce myself to him a day before, and just be like, to do the same thing before our show.
Yeah.
Spoiler alert. Before
Yeah.
our show, I say, what do you want me to focus on to boost? What do you absolutely not want to talk about?
Yeah.
That's the first question I always ask when I'm
Mm.
interviewing somebody. And he like stopped me halfway, and he basically was like, I don't want you. I don't need you. I'm offended that anybody would think I would need you.
Whoa.
And he was like,
What?
he was trying to be honest, but also he was really rude. And I was like laughing about it. And
Yeah.
he's like, oh, I'm sorry if I triggered or offended you. And I'm like, dude, I still get paid. Like, I'm contracted for the weekend. So,
Yeah.
like, you just gave me an hour off. Meanwhile, he bombed his panel. And I was like, I should have been on Meatloaf and I shouldn't have been
Yeah.
on My Hero Academia, but this is
Yeah.
just how it all fell. So I basically got paid for two panels that were like,
Yeah.
I
That's
was
funny.
willing to do the work, and there was
Mm.
nothing really that I could do.
It's lost, bud.
That's
He'd
well, he
be much
died
bigger.
right after that
Oh, that's right. I forgot about it.
from
Soon
like
after.
complications of COVID that he probably got at the
Yeah.
convention.
Yeah. Oh my
Like the
God.
time frame is pretty like complications from COVID
Suspect.
death. Yeah, comes back on that. So it happens. Like, and then right after that, somebody that you've worked for with DC Comics, Gillian Koblish,
Julian Koblish.
her husband Scott, guest of the show,
Awesome people.
texted me like right after he told me to go myself. And he texted me, he's like, or he called me and he's like, hey, So Jillian loves meatloaf and like really he like Bad Out of Hell is like it's like an important part of our relationship. And he's like telling he's like, if there's a way you can get,
Oh,
anything signed and like to bring it back, like it would mean a lot. And I was like, I don't think that's gonna happen. And I'm really sorry, but I think this guy fucking hates me. Like I think he
why? What did
hates
you
me.
do to him? Nothing.
Nothing.
It's everybody.
It was like the amount of disdain that he had,
Wow.
like it was palpable.
What con was this, or
That
where
was at
was it?
Motor City Comic Con in Detroit, which I loved doing, and I loved
I
seeing
bet.
there, and
Yeah,
ended up of all the conventions that I've hosted panels at, I've never had a con produce more fans. Like I had people that were coming to my panels, which
that's
was neat.
awesome.
Like they were
Yeah,
like, if you have
Jeff,
a panel, if you ever have a panel, request me. I'll host you. I do that
enable
for
me.
free. Yeah. Say if you're
Yeah.
having a panel for DC's Primer.
Ooh, what a nice
Ooh.
segue.
Oh, you see
Primer.
that? You
Yeah.
are the co-creator and writer of Primer with your writing partner and ex-wife, Jennifer Muro.
Yeah, that's yes for DC Comics. That is our big, I guess you could say, claim to somewhat fame. It's claim it's
You've written on a lot of
yeah, but like I think, it's funny because when I was younger, I wanted to be a comic book artist really badly. I wanted to draw comics.
Who did you want
Batman
to
was
draw
my
like? Who
thing.
was your hero?
Batman all the time.
No, not I don't
What?
know how Batman draws. I mean, who did you want to
Oh.
draw like? Like what were your who were your influences?
Oh man, so I think it was like who was doing Punisher Warzone at the time?
John
This
Romita Jr.?
Junior. Yeah, I liked his stuff, and it's funny. I obviously did love Jim Lee's stuff when he was doing X-Men. When they
Oh
came
yeah.
out with the 20 different covers for the X-Men
Yeah,
#1 back in
X-Men's
91.
1A through E. There were
Yeah,
5 covers. Well, there were 4 covers that connected and one that
yeah,
was a gatefold cover. Yeah.
yeah. So Jim Lee. So like basically, I would just draw anybody. I would try to copy anybody's style that I could. But
Yeah.
so, anyways, eventually getting back into comics like through like a total, I don't know, back door. Like I didn't set out to go to DC Comics and work for them because I'd never thought it would happen. And then it just happened because we were at the right place at the right time with the right idea. So like to have that comic, that's what I mean. It's like, oh, that's like a really big thing to have a superhero in DC Comics that's a bestseller. So it's like it really is like the thing I'm most proud of. Absolutely. So to me, it's like,
It's
I it's a character that I hope just sticks around. I mean, they could take her away, but I'm like, it seems like she's cemented it
I
there now.
don't
So
I don't think that they're going to
oh.
take her away anytime soon because, and here's something very interesting.
Yeah.
Primer is it's like back and forth with Watchmen as the best-selling every month,
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
best-selling DC graphic novel. Still, it is
After
like the
40.
strength behind Primer is I don't think anybody could have predicted how well this book would do.
I think they definitely did not. And when we did that first book, so for those people who are still listening to me drone on and on, Primer is a kind of like a family-friendly superhero. It's kind of we wrote it with the middle grade and young adult audience in mind, but
And
adults love
published
it
in
too.
sort of digest format too. It's not classic trade paperback
Exactly.
sized, but
Yeah.
we're going to talk about that in a second.
Yeah, that's right. We have to mention that. But it's about a 13-year-old girl who she has 33 different body paints, and each body paint gives her a different superpower. So she can put on only three at a time and like have like multiple combinations of different powers she can use. But so yeah, it is up there. It came out, yeah, 4 years ago, I think. And like you just said, it's in the rotation of like, yeah, Watchmen, Batman Year One, and probably The Dark Knight, I forget, but it's always up there in like the top 10 at least, usually in the top five. It's been #1 for DC like multiple times. I know how many copies it sold, but I'm not allowed to say. And it's impressive.
I've bought a few
I know you did. The guy at the comic book store ratted you out a few days ago and said you bought a copy of
of
my
the
book.
floppy copy. Yeah,
A
I
floppy.
bought because yeah, so a floppy copy is like a comic book issue as opposed to like a trade paperback or a graphic novel. Primer was originally published as a digest-sized graphic novel. So when you think about it as like the size of like a TV guide. Insanely popular. Like one of those things that came out of nowhere. I mean, here's the thing. I'm not surprised at the fact that it is good.
Yeah.
It was, I read it and I was like, this is amazing.
Oh,
This is exactly what I would expect from these two. The art is crisp,
oh my
blah, blah,
God.
blah. What I was not expecting was it to be the biggest thing.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
that was the surprise.
Yeah, it was. And I think to what we were talking about earlier with nobody thinking it would, even like get noticed. Originally, when we had pitched it to DC Comics, they kind of guided us into keeping this character like on the outskirts, as if maybe she's not actually in the DC universe, but she,
Her
do
pocket
references
dimension or whatever. Yeah.
superheroes, something like that. They were like, let's just when I had originally pitched the first graphic novel to them, we wrote up that the story was Primer saving the Teen Titans. And that's how she eventually gets her powers, and she uses them to save the Teen Titans from bad guys, etc. And then TC came back to us and they're like, yeah, you know what? She's not there yet. Let's just keep her kind of on the outskirts in case she doesn't basically,
In
get
case it doesn't work
noticed.
out. Yeah. We don't want to clutter our already
Yeah.
cluttered universe. And
Yeah.
then this
Cut to
happened, and the book
yeah.
outsold every Teen Titans book.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
they're like, all right, yeah, we could probably, because she has been integrated at least in cameo format into the regular DC universe. She was
Teen
in
Titans Academy.
Teen
Yeah.
Titans Academy, which I bought that issue too.
Thank you.
And on top
Yeah.
of that, I love being a fan of my
Yeah.
friends. I love
Thanks, man.
supporting. But on top of that, the funniest part is the book did so well and is continuing to do so well in digest format that DC was just kind of like, it, we'll just put it out in a 4-issue floppy copy. And so now your book is currently being published, as in I bought issue 1 last week at
This
House of Secrets.
Yeah, that's where I went. House Secrets here in Burbank. Yeah, that was crazy to us when they came to us and said we're going to take your graphic novel and then re-release it in 4 separate issues. And we're like, yeah, you can do whatever you want. And to finally see
And we
like
don't mind those residuals either.
we don't mind that. Hopefully it'll still do well. I think a lot of the comic book store owners will probably point out to people who were interested in that floppy that there is the graphic novel that they could also pick up, in addition to or instead. But it's just
Sales are
that's
sales, man. You get
sales.
9.99 in sales or 4.99 in sales. Does it matter?
Yeah,
Like,
yeah. So yeah, so that starting, last week, and then for the next 3 months, there you'll see the next 3 chapters come out, and then right immediately after that, we have the sequel coming out in 3 separate floppies. So this time, instead of releasing our sequel in a graphic novel, it's going to be the floppies first, as is traditional, and then collected in the graphic novel format later on. And we're really excited about that because in that sequel, DC actually, ironically, if I use that term correctly, they asked us, "Hey, can you put the Teen Titans in the sequel?"
yeah,
We're like, "Yes, we can put the Teen
yes, we
Titans
can.
in the sequel." We kind of have a story already. You may have remembered that we pitched it to you 5 years ago.
That is a good
Uh,
idea. Yeah.
yeah. So yes, thanks for thinking of that, DC Comics. So yeah, that'll come out. I think that one's going to be longer. The first story we did was about 100 and I think 40 pages, and the sequel will be 160 pages with a
You said that's
lot
going to be
more.
floppies?
Yeah. So yeah, apparently they're planning to release it as 3 floppies. So those will be some thick floppies,
Oh,
which
so
a weird
prestige
thing to say.
format. Yeah, those will be prestige formats.
Prestige formats.
Yeah, so thicker spine going up probably at 9.99,
Oh, I'll
an eight
take it.
ninety nine or a 9.99 price tag. But
Yeah. Yeah.
that's awesome. The
It's
super
it's
specials, they're like the size of the super specials.
those are what they're called. See, I go to you for all my like comic book knowledge because I kind of been out of the game for so long, ever since I realized I couldn't draw and went into writing instead of comic books. So I always call you when I have like a question for like my writing about superheroes
You're like,
or
what's this character? What
continuity.
do they do? Yeah.
Yeah.
Funny
Uh,
story, Tom, by the way, because I'm gonna talk to you more about
yeah.
Primer. I have a lot of questions about Primer.
Sure.
But what I
Sure.
do want to mention is that if you are a member of patreon.com/Jeff May in the producer tier, I will say your name on this gosh darn show. Isn't that exciting? Isn't
That's
that
the mo.
fun? Isn't that
Yeah.
fun? And so, Tom, what I'm going to do is I'm going to let you know that our show is brought to you by a handful of people, and I'm
Oh,
going to
cool.
use their names on here. And if you want me to say your name on here, head on over to patreon.com/Jeff May. You can sign up for producer tiers on both this show and Nerd. You can sign up for, or both. You can sign up for the one where I send you stuff in the mail, all the trading cards that I open. Tom, I just bought a cool box of trading
Uh,
cards. So I'll tell you, I'll
uh,
let it know. I bought 30th anniversary Spider-Man from 1992.
oh my gosh, really?
Yeah, the Todd
Wow.
McFarlane looking
Yes.
stuff with the prism cards in the boxes and stuff. Yeah.
Oh, that's awesome. That's on I Must Break You.
It'll be on I Must Break You, yeah. And
That's
then people will
awesome.
get those cards in the mail, which is exciting.
Which could be some of these listeners right now.
Which very well could be. Some of them definitely double or triple dip in all of these. So I would like to give a huge shout out to the Enchanted Wandering Unpierced Left Nipple Cider served at room temperature. Right. And then also I would like to say a shout out to Call Me Sean or whatever. Shout out to that producer. Shout out to the Oatmeal Savage. Shout out to Watch Me Use These Prehensile Nipples to pick up pennies off the floor. A lot of nipple talk here. Tell me you're a nipple based. Are you an oatmeal fan, by the way? Going back to
Uh,
the Oatmeal Savage. Do you like oatmeal?
my wife eats it, and she got me into it just recently. So yeah, yeah. I used to think it was ever since I saw it in The Golden Child with the blood in it. Remember that scene?
Yeah, yeah,
I was
yeah.
like, I'm never gonna touch oatmeal ever
Tex
because,
Cobb.
huh?
Tex Cobb tried
Tex
to do it.
Cobb. Yeah. So didn't eat it for the longest time because of The Golden Child. Eddie Murphy's worst movie, anyways. But go on. Yes,
I loved The Golden Child. It's not his worst movie. He's
I
had
didn't think it was his worst movie, but I think it was poorly received. But I did like it. I watched it a ton.
yeah, fair enough. So I also like an oatmeal chocolate chip cookie.
Oh, those are awesome.
It's a good one.
Let's go get some cookies after this.
I have oatmeal chocolate chip cookies right here if you want. You're gonna have
Oh,
some.
okay. I'll be right over.
Shout out to check out this month's Nerd with Dre and Jeff. We just wrapped our season. We just wrapped a season up on Miss Unfortunate's video game adaptations
Oh,
with
sweet.
Double Dragon.
Yes.
It was the worst thing I've ever seen.
What?
It was so painful.
I love it.
If you listen to the episode, you can hear me having an emotional breakdown on the episode about the movie, which is real fun. And I think we're going to start our next season is coming up soon. And I'm pretty sure we're doing action figure reboot lines.
Whoa, cool.
So, like,
I'm down.
toys that started out as one thing and then they were rebooted into a new type of toy or something like that.
I feel like we could just sit around and talk all day about this disappointment of, yes, those video games turned movies. But you and me specifically in the 90s, being the old men that we are, having gotten so excited to see Super Mario Brothers or Double Dragon or Street Fighter.
So Street Fighter and Double Dragon are
Yeah.
2/3 of that season, and then the other one was Doom.
Dude, I just had lunch with the screenwriter's son of Doom like 2 weeks ago. Wesley Strick is the guy that wrote the movie, I believe, Doom. He was also slated to write, I think, Batman, the next Tim Burton Batman Superman crossover in the late 90s, I think. The one with Lexiac, where Lex Luthor and Brainiac.
Oh, the death of that's the one that's
I don't know if it's not the Kevin
the Superman Lives.
Is that it? Not the
Would have been the one that Kevin Smith tried writing for a while and John Peters produced. Yeah.
Yeah.
But anyway, so that's what we covered. And we're doing that. I don't know where we're going, but like there's a couple of toy lines that we could really talk about that would be really fun. So we have that going for us.
Which is nice.
Which was nice. So also shout out to Normal Man, Andrew McGuire, Dan Hackroyd, Norm from Cheers.
Nice.
Dan Adamski, world's humblest man. Bart Fardigan, mashed potatoes are the brioche buns of side dishes. Very specific about my distaste for not distaste, but I'm just not impressed by mashed potatoes or brioche buns.
God. All right.
I don't care.
Okay. I hate sweet potato fries. Everybody loves
weird. That is weird.
What? Did I hate them? I hate them? They're gross. They're gross.
Oh, you know what? When they're served like moist, then it's a problem. When they're not like blanched or whatever, and they just come back, that's when they suck. Shout out to I'm going to start calling Yoda Old Grogu just to see what happens. Shout out to the ghost of Dave Thomas, the scene in Lost City where Brad Pitt dies. A really great producer here. Shout out to Aldo Vargas is a couple months behind on his podcast, but he'll hear this eventually. Aldo, go sign up for Primer. It came out several months ago.
Yeah.
Shout out to Carson. Shout out to Mr. Billy Beck. And the To Be Terror Bunny says the strike may be over, but egg Bob Iger anyway, because them. And did I say Bart Fardigan? I did. Shout out to Bart Fardigan. Again, if you want me to say your name on there, head on over to patreon.com/Jeff May. If you are a member of that tier and I somehow didn't say your name, you should probably send me a message on Patreon and let me know that you didn't have a name in there and I didn't see that. So Tom, question for you. And I don't know if you know this, but like, is Primer going to get a toy at some point?
Oh my gosh. To There's I no, no I
Who do we
not
got to call?
anytime.
Who
Huh?
do we have to call to make that
I
happen?
know,
Jim
I know.
Fletcher?
Yeah,
Todd
yeah,
McFarlane?
yeah. Just there were some things that were going to happen. Some big things with Primer were planned, and then there was this whole restructuring over at Warner Brothers and DC. So it put some of like the really big stuff on hold. The toys were never part of it, but other things were. And we were really excited. Just to give
You
you a little
said
too much
other things in
information.
a very evasive way, meaning
Yeah,
I'm assuming you're NDA'd to a way where you can't say what other things,
yeah, yeah.
like
But
animation maybe or
stuff,
something like that.
stuff. I mean, I think a lot of it's just on hold for now. I honestly think just personally, like with James Gunn coming in to kind of restructure, I think that, he's in charge of all DC, movies
Yeah.
and TV, right? So I think what he's going to do there will have a lot to say with what happens with Primer. And I specifically don't see her having a TV show, like a live action TV show or movie for, I don't know, I'm just going to say 10 years personally. I feel like he's so busy kind of like rebooting that universe. And if you know Primer, all of her powers are essentially based on other superheroes. So I think James Gunn would have to, introduce those heroes first and the supervillains first, and then you can say, hey, by the way, here's Primer. She gets her powers from those people. But that was a long way of saying that and completely getting around your question about the toys. I don't think there's going to be toys anytime soon.
You don't think so?
But no, I would love it. I would love it. I've thought about how to pitch them a video game for Primer, but like a side-scrolling thing. But
Oh,
I don't know,
like a
man. A lot of
classic
it's yeah,
platform or something like that.
yeah, but a lot of it's just out of our hands. We have a lot of ideas, but so does DC. So we'll see what they do want to do with her. But we do have other stuff planned for her after this sequel. Who knows? Perhaps there will be more sequel books, but right now we hope people like pick up the second book and enjoy it and
I
not
mean, if judging by the response that you got in the beginning, I have a feeling that's not going to be too hard
yeah,
to establish. Like,
yeah,
clearly people like it. If you guys are outselling Watchmen
yeah.
half the time, like that's pretty nuts.
Oh yes, there are still some things planned that are definitely happening that I can't talk about, and then there were things that were planned that I can't talk about that are not happening. So it's just gotta walk that tightrope a little.
No, I get it. Yeah, there's you certainly don't want to violate
Yeah, and I
any
don't think there's much.
NDAs or whatever, but
Yeah,
not that people are monitoring this show or anything. Not
I
like
think.
not like the people that thought that my saying that McDonald's was angry at Tim Burton for Batman Returns was gonna cost a DC partnership.
What? This is a thing that happened?
Oh, that was one of the things. That was one of the
What?
one of the reasons they found for like punitive
No,
action against me was they were like, we can't lose this license. And I was like, do you think they're gonna lose the license? Because I brought up a thing that happened.
and
Oh
that
yeah.
happened?
Huh?
Oh,
You know what? I'm gonna save this for the
yeah.
exclusive content. I'll save
Yes.
this. I'll
Okay.
save this for
Oh
the
yeah. Yeah.
after the show, and we can do that. But yeah, there was something. It's funny. But anyway,
Yes.
obviously, Primer, like comics,
Yeah.
coming an artist wasn't the way. Coming a writer, turns out that
Yeah.
was the way. So you worked with Jennifer Muro and the
Mhm.
very talented Greta Lusky. Jennifer
Yeah.
Muro, friend of the show, friend of
Mhm.
the pod, friend of the host.
Yeah.
So when you're now, though, you have allotted yourself an opportunity to stretch out.
Yeah.
And you now have coming out soon, you have written Batman for a DC Spring Breakout, which is one of those thick anthology style things. Like you're writing in that prestige format. You're in one of those books, just like what it seems like Primer is going to be when it comes out.
Yeah, exactly. That was really cool. That was another dream come true to like officially write for Batman. And I asked them. I said, "Oh, will this story be considered canon?" And they're like, "Yes, your story will be." And I'm like, "Oh, that's cool," because I thought I came up with a pretty, it's only a 10-page story because the anthology is I think is 8 stories total, so 80-page book.
It's an 80
Um,
page giant.
I
DC
believe
loves
so.
those. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. So. I kept bugging the editor at DC, which is Katie Kubert, and I was like, "Hey, can I? What else you got? You got
The
anything?"
Katie Kubert, as in like
Yeah, yeah,
the
the
Kubert family,
Kuberts. Yeah, yeah,
like of
and
Joe, Andy, and Adam fame.
yeah. She is, I believe, their niece. I don't know who her father is. I don't know if he was also a DC guy. But yeah, so I just kept bugging her because I felt like since I was already working in the DC world, like made my connections and hit her up. And she was super cool. For the longest time, she had no work for me. And then she's like, "Hey, Tom," I think she actually hit me up out of the blue because I'd hit her up so many times. But she finally had something for me. She said, "Hey, do you have a pitch for DC's Spring Breakout? All these stories deal with the theme of like either spring or breaking out or spring breakout." So probably a loose term, but I pitched her a cool Batman story. That's not like it's not like a comedy or anything. There are probably some other like comedy stories in that special, but yeah, it's in mine. It's called Cold Feet, and it's Batman fighting Mr. Freeze, and it talks a little bit about Bruce's history as a kid. So, I mean, I thought it was pretty smart. We'll see if people like it. Again, it's my first Batman thing, and that was really, really awesome to write. So that'll be out, I don't know, a month. I think end of next month.
How long does it take to do that?
Honestly, for me, I'm a really fast writer because I enjoy it so much, especially if it's something I love like Batman. It takes me really no time at all. It takes less time than writing for animation, I'll tell you that. When I did this story, it was just me and Katie Kubert.
Mhm.
So I just have to go back and forth with her giving me notes and her giving me her ideas. It's not like all these executives or editors or producers. So in a way it happens faster. And also luckily these editors, unlike other people I've worked with in animation, they're really creative and they know the world and they have a lot of great ideas. So Katie came back with me some cool ideas, just made it faster to crank out. Again, it was just 10 pages. I think I pitched her like a rough paragraph first of the story, and then we just went from there to the script because again, it's just 10 pages, so I didn't need to like
Yeah.
do a big outline. But yeah, and I think I started writing that last October. So I wish I could give you like a real time frame of how long it takes to write, but I don't know, just a few hours, I guess, if you think about
Really?
it. Yeah, I mean, it's just 10 pages. If I'm writing primer, that'll take, I don't know, a whole, write the script, just a few days, really.
Yeah.
If it's going to be 130, 160 pages. But we have to come up with that outline first, and that's where all the work really is.
Yeah. Is that like how long does it take from like the start of coming up with an outline to then
Yeah,
like finishing the story and handing it in? And then to an artist who then has to put it together, like how long is that process?
I
Because
know.
I guess I don't really, you've got a Batman story that's coming out right
Yeah,
next month.
yeah, exactly. So
So
yeah,
like time, like can we go full
yeah,
timeline? Because I'm just curious as to
yeah.
that.
Okay, so I think it was last September when she contacted me,
Mhm.
and I, got back to her right away with some rough ideas, and then we had the script probably pretty much by the end of November, I want to say, and the artist got to work on it right away. He was really fast, and I mean, it's been done for a while now, so it's really just to me, this is probably one of the fastest projects I've ever worked on from, concept to the finished pages with something like Primer that took the sequel took years only because I don't know why. I guess they were trying to figure out when they wanted to release it, but that literally took I think I finished the script for this book, the sequel Primer. I think I finished it like 2 years ago, and it's only coming out this July. So it really just varies. It just depends on I think when the editors have deadlines of their own to hit with
Oh,
Katie
that's
and
fair too. Yeah, like
yeah, yeah. So like with Katie and Batman, she was this was one of her main books, so she knew she was getting it done in time, and she did. So Primer took a lot longer because there was no rush. Honestly, I don't know why. I think they should have done Primer a while ago while it was, well, I guess it's still hot, so it doesn't really matter.
yeah, it's
But
still doing great. It's
yeah,
funny too because yeah, like, and so Primer 2 coming out around like June, July.
I think it's July, yeah, end of July.
It's like right around Comic-Con. Do you guys have
Yeah,
anything planned for that or
I haven't heard of anything yet. I think last year they got to us pretty late to have us come.
last year
Which, by
they
the way,
told you like the day before?
yes. And Jeff, thank you for being our attendee at the
I was
signing.
yeah, I got to tell you because like yeah, yeah, that is funny. Like it was sort of one of those things where either you or Jen
Mhm.
texted me and were like, "Hey, here we're doing a signing primer," and I'm just like, they didn't.
Yeah, it didn't work.
Why am I hearing about this right now? And they're like, yeah, they
Yeah.
just kind of threw it together. I'm like, well, I didn't bring a primer with me. I
If
would have
only you
liked
could buy a
that.
copy of Primer at a comic book convention.
You could, some books you just can't get at a comic con.
Right.
Like,
Yeah,
why bring a digest sized primer to a comic
I
con?
know.
Because digest, they're not particularly collectible. Like
Yeah, yeah,
it's considered a reading book. You buy it at a store. They're like, I can leave it at my store and sell it out immediately. The book
yeah.
sells out everywhere it goes.
It
So,
does.
like, why bother bringing the primer to Comic Con when
Yeah,
you can not have to bring it? It's differently sized than all your other comics.
yeah.
Like, you don't have to bring it, and you're still gonna sell it out.
It's a
You
good
know,
call. Look at you. Yeah, you know how things work. That's
I
our
mean,
Jeff.
it's common sense, right? Like,
Yeah, but thank you for showing up to our signing. That was last minute.
I
I
still
think
have your autographs. I don't know why I still held on to it. Like,
you.
I have you and
I think
Jen Muro's autographs, and I think you
yes.
wrote like I'm the funniest person you know
Here,
on it or something.
I have exactly right here on my desk, Jeff. This is how much this means to me. When you came to our signing, you came up and hung out with us for a while, and you drew a picture. And here is the picture.
You have, I drew a picture of you. Yep. So I did draw a picture. It is Tom's face with his beard and his hat, and it says, I'm Tom
There
on
you go.
it. And you
There's your
still have
podcast
that.
cover. Of course I
You should
do.
always look
It's
at that and remind yourself of it.
yeah. It's how does that look? Does that still pretty
It
much
looks
look
good. I
just
mean, it's
like?
good. Nobody can see it. Like, we're not
Yeah,
doing
that's right.
video podcasting. So who gives a
Let's get your autograph. When you're big now, but when you're really big, this thing's gonna be worth,
I'm not big
I
now.
mean, you can buy me a house, Jeff.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah. You're
but
the one creating original characters for DC.
yeah,
Meanwhile, I'm
yeah.
just like, here's a drawing of Tom I did. It's not that good, but
It's an
it's cool.
awesome drawing. It's awesome.
But no, I adore you and I think you're great.
Oh, thanks,
And
man.
I'm really excited for DC Spring Breakout as well
I hope you like
as
it.
well. Now, are you entrenched in DC now? Like, is this like you're like I work for DC, like, or would you be able to go and do stuff for like Boom or Marvel or like do your own book through Image, or is there like I don't know how contracts work for
I
stuff
mean,
like this?
I've just definitely noticed that lots of writers who work for any of the big publishers also just work for any of the other publishers. I mean, I don't specifically have a contract that says I can only work for DC. I'd be happy to have one. I'd be lucky. I'd be honored. That would be awesome. But no, right now I'm also in the middle of doing a mini series for Marvel Comics.
Really?
Yeah,
Okay, so
it's
you are working with that.
yeah, yeah. I mean, the moment, someone tells me to work strictly for them, I will do it. It's just like I would be it'd be awesome again to
Okay,
read
so that's cool. So who is it? Batman in Marvel?
it.
You
Is it
snuck him in there?
yeah, yeah, it's Batman and Marvel. No, it's more just classic Marvel characters. I think they're gonna announce it later this
Yeah,
year
no, I
for
don't
some
want you to like
spring.
violate anything on the show, but like
Yeah.
if
But
I ask you, can you confirm that you didn't write a character if I say the name out loud, or is that a little too much?
that's too much.
So if I were like Spider-Man, and then you'd be like, no,
Yeah.
I'd be
Yeah,
like, okay, well, he's not
basically
doing Spider-Man.
yeah, yeah. I
Yeah,
wish I could talk more about it,
that's fair.
and I will talk about it more. But that again, that was a thing where I reached out to people over there and reminded them that I have primer. That's like my little deal ticket. Hey, I'm the primer writer.
You're like, look, I made DC a lot of money.
Yeah, hey, yeah. I'll
So
take that.
like, you want me to make some money for you?
Yeah, so we're doing this 4-issue series for them, and really excited. It's my first thing with them. I'll let you know. You will literally be the first
It's
guy to
it's
know.
funny. Do you okay? So when do you know when it's coming out?
I think later this year. I don't quite know,
Oh,
but I
later
believe.
this year.
Yeah.
That's such an easy prediction to make. After all, we're only 3 months into the year.
Yeah, yeah. I'll hit you up and talk about it some more.
Definitely, I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, but I do right now. I'm also trying to write my own original stuff because I'm going to get an artist to hopefully do a pitch with me for Image. I have a million ideas.
Do you have the artist? Yeah.
I do have the artist. I had nailed that. Well, not nailed him down, but he's my artist for the Batman story.
Oh, nice. What's
Uh,
his name?
it's Wes. I always forget his last name. What is his last name?
It's Wes.
Wes Wesley St. Clair.
Oh, okay.
Wesley St. Clair and
Sounds like a British spy.
Wesley St. Clair. Well, that wasn't even British.
Wow.
Wesley St. Clair. So we'll see what happens. I mean, I have to get the script done first, but that's my plan is to definitely, get an Image comic. I have reached out to all the other publishers, Boom, IDW, I think Dark Horse, and anybody else I could think of. But a lot of them just, aren't taking pitches or, I like to think that Primer can give me some kind of, sway, but it doesn't as much as I kind of expected it to, or that people would expect it to.
Yeah.
Like, I'll reach out to somebody at a publisher and tell them I have Primer, it's a big hit. And they're like, yeah, that's cool, good for you. But they still have like so many other multi-talented writers and artists. So
Yeah.
it's understandable. It's like, oh,
And
they
you're
already
one of
have.
them, though. You're coming into that being one of them.
Yeah, so I'm just trying to, if there's no work for me, then I get it. But it's understandable that they already have, their tried and true creatives working with them.
Yeah.
So I'll,
Well,
I'll
but
keep trying, definitely. But to have at least a DC and now Marvel
yeah,
uh,
that's good stuff
credits,
to have in your back pocket. Yeah. 'Cause I
yeah,
know, like Dynamite, like Dynamite's another one. Like they do all the Elvira books, and
yeah.
that's written by David Avalone, who is also like one of the head writers of Bat Wheels.
Oh, that's right. Oh,
So
yes.
like, he's
Yeah.
writing cartoons as well as writing comics and stuff. So like it's definitely one of those things where like it doesn't hurt to do that.
Yeah, this is true. And I'm glad you brought up Bat Wheels because
Yeah.
I'm
Are you
also
a fan
writing
of Bat Wheels? Are you
I'm
a are
writing
you a
for Bat
pre-K
Wheels now.
child? Yeah.
Yes,
Wait,
I
what?
am. Yeah, I'm writing an episode for Bat Wheels
Get
for
the
if
out of here.
yeah, man. It's now that is really cool because I didn't actually think it was my agent who helped get me that actual job. It wasn't me reaching out. She actually did her job. She's an awesome agent. But yeah, so as of now, I'm doing at least one episode for Bat Wheels for Max. It's pretty awesome because yeah, it's still the Batman world. It's a lot of fun. It's different though because technically it's a preschool show. And if you work in animation, you kind of generally know this, but working in preschool is so much harder than writing in the
Yeah.
typical 6 to 11 space. Like when I wrote for Fairly Odd Parents, or even when I wrote for Iron Man Armored Adventures on Nicktoons, like that was, fairly easy. But with preschool, like with Bat Wheels, you
Yeah.
have like rules you kind of need to follow to for that specific
Yeah, like
age.
the
And
non-violence and the
it's the
good
non-violence
message, the
message.
lesson, the
Yeah.
teamwork. Because
Yeah.
Bat Wheels has the like, you can show this to your kids, and they have like
Yeah.
a pre essay, like
Yeah.
a pre
Ex-
PSA where they tell you that like this helps
yeah.
team building and
Yeah.
understanding and dealing with trauma or something like that. Because
Exactly.
we covered that show.
Oh,
Um,
well, you did
Tom and Jeff
on
watch
Jeff
Batman.
Comes from.
So
You guys
when
covered
your
Bat
episode
Wheels?
like we'll eventually cover Bat Wheels. We'll cover your episodes of Bat Wheels. Yeah.
Oh, I look forward to you telling me what you think.
I'm absolutely going to force you to do that show.
Oh, I will
When
totally
we
do
do
it.
when we do your episode,
Yeah.
we're absolutely going to force you to watch Bat Wheels.
Hey, I will totally do it. I'm stoked. Hopefully, well, we're writing it right now. Hopefully they still choose to make it, but it's a lot of fun. It's just I'm really lucky to stay in the Batman family and let's see what happens.
I mean,
But yeah,
this is how it happens now too. It's not the way it used to
yeah,
be. Like your pedigree is in like animation and
yeah.
like acting and animation and writing, and it's going to comics, and now you're doing comics. You're doing animation based on the comics that you've read. So it is like this really interesting sort of back and forth in there, which I find really fascinating. Like I'm fascinated by this. Like your through line is unhinged in a
Oh,
very good way.
yeah. I'm really, really fortunate. Like I getting into animation and then also comic books, it's something that Jennifer's really good at. She's good at making connections. I got
Oh yeah,
into
no kidding.
this
Half my guests were introduced to me by Jennifer.
yeah, she's good like that. But yeah, I've been fortunate that I knew the right people to get me into Nickelodeon to get me my job or to get me my career going in animation. And before that, I had a friend who got me my job at Paramount to over there, which was great. And then, Jennifer knew this editor at DC Comics, and that's how we got them our pitch for Primer. So I definitely, don't well, I'm just yeah, I feel incredibly grateful for that. And I know it's lucky. So I
It's
try not
not
to take it
luck.
for granted.
It's I don't think we got to stop calling it luck because you have put yourself in the position to receive these opportunities. So
True.
in
Thank
that
you.
regard, it's not luck.
Yeah, you are right. I should take that. You're right. I definitely put a lot of work into learning how to write, and I think that's why
Yeah.
Primer shows because it's
You're in
really like written
well,
like a movie.
Primer is written by somebody who's a fan of the genre.
Yes.
like
Yeah.
is written by somebody who genuinely loves what they're doing, and you can
Oh
tell
yeah.
it's very
Mhm.
visible. And so in
Yeah.
that regard, like hell yeah. Like
Yeah.
I can see the love that you pour into Primer, and I always tell people if there's ever like a book drive, I buy a copy
Uh,
of Primer and I
Jeez,
put it in
man.
there. Like I will
You,
do everything I
thanks.
can to make sure that that book is put in the hands of
Wow.
people that would appreciate it.
Dude, you're the best. Thank you. Appreciate that.
No, you are. And I did buy the floppy copy as Leland from House of Secrets did sell me out and tell because he knows that we're friends.
Yeah, yeah, he
So he
does. He
was,
does.
so did you go in and like ask?
I was really just kind of like nervous walking in because I don't like to make a big deal out of myself and like take photos of my accomplishments. But my wife really wanted to go too, and so I just wanted to go and really see the book. And she's like, "No, let's get our photo. Let's ask them to take our photo with the book." I'm like, "I don't really want to. I don't need to
No,
do
you
this."
should do
Start
that. And they'd
sweating.
be cool with it. Like,
And they were,
yeah.
yeah, they were. They so yeah, I went in to take a look. They had about 10 copies on the shelf. It just come out like a few days ago. Like,
Yeah, it came out
oh,
Wednesday. It came out
with
Wednesday.
surprise.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, and I asked him how it was selling, and he said, yeah, they sold a few copies. And I forget how you came up. I think, oh, yeah, because they said something to me about the book, and I was like, oh, yeah, no, I know, because I wrote it. He's like, yeah, no, I know, I know. And I was like, oh, yeah, you know me, because I come here with Jeff May. And I forgot, I thought he might forget who I was, which is why I name dropped you. And he's like, yeah, no, I remember you coming with Jeff.
Yeah. Yeah.
He actually bought a copy.
Leland remembers everybody. Like Leland sees people walking into the thing and he
Yeah.
has their stuff pulled out of their box
Oh,
already. Like
he's a pro.
he's so good.
Love that store.
Yeah.
But so yeah, he ratted you out saying that you bought. You're probably the only person to have bought that copy that week, but because there
That's
was
not
a
true.
bunch on
You want to know
there were
how
a
I know
bunch on
that's
that
not
shelf.
you want to know how I know that's not true?
Oh,
Because a speculator behind me also bought it because he said it was going to be worth money.
are you serious?
Mhm.
Are you what?
Yeah. There was a guy that buys like all the number ones and stuff. And he researched your book and he said,
Get out of here!
he said, finally, he said something, I forget what it was, but like, I've been waiting for a collectible version of this
Oh,
book. He said something to those regards because he saw I was buying it.
wow.
And he
Ooh,
was like, that's going to be worth money. And I was like,
okay,
sure,
cool. Hey,
probably.
go sign that form. We'll sign it.
Not, no, don't. He's a prospector. Fuck him. But really funny. I
Yeah.
was on Saturday night at WonderCon.
Oh yeah.
I was sitting there with some writers and friends, Dennis Culver, who wrote like Doom
Yeah.
Patrol and writes a ton of stuff, and Tony
Yeah.
for his new book Feral just come out and stuff.
Yeah.
And Timmy Haig, who has been on the
Mhm.
show before, but he's the owner of Arsenal Comics.
Yep.
He's a young man owner of a comic book shop in Ventura. And we were talking, and he was like talking about how much he likes Primer. He's got a young, like out here at House of Secrets, like the in Burbank, the customer base is almost always like Disney artists and
Yeah.
like, all these, like, it's
That's
all
true.
professional nerds. But down in Ventura, he's like, I have a lot of young
That's good.
customers. Like his customer base is very young. And he was like, yeah, we're doing like, we're setting up our schedules and stuff. And I was like, do you like Primer? And he's like, I love that book. And I was just
Um,
like, if you're looking, I know Tom likes interacting with people in regards
yeah.
to this, and he'd probably really enjoy working with you. And so, literally, I think I connected you guys last night
Yeah,
on
you
Instagram.
did. And thank you so much for that. That was really cool because I would love to do it. And he seems like a super cool dude.
He's really great. Yeah.
So we might be doing a signing at Arsenal Comics. Now they have two locations, right? There's
There's
the
Newbury
one.
Park, and then there's Newbury Park, and then there's Ventura. Yeah.
Okay, cool. Yeah, that would be awesome. I do love meeting the fans, and I especially like seeing specifically the kids who get inspired by it. Because I remember being a kid and like picking up like my favorite comics and being like, oh wow, that's really cool. So to see like how, the fans in person actually respond and what it's meant to them, that would be cool to see some more.
I mean, yeah, I think that's pretty
So thank you.
pretty.
Yeah,
Yeah, I was like, yeah, of course. Like that's the thing I like doing is I'm just like, well, like, look,
you're a connector.
you like I because I've talked to you about signings. You're like, yeah, if they'll have me, of course
Yeah,
I'll go. And you're just, but it's like the girl at the dance waiting for somebody to ask.
yeah.
So that's why I can come in and I can say, and I can go to somebody like Timmy and be like, do you want this? And if they say it's not really for us, you don't know that there's a rejection there, right?
That's
Like
true.
it makes it easier that
You're
way.
protecting my fragile ego.
Well,
No,
it's
you're right.
just one of those things. But
Ah,
like, if I can be the middleman, then you don't know if somebody did or didn't want you. First off,
that's
I haven't
true.
brought it up to many people. Like, it's not that,
Why
but
not, Jeff? What?
because I don't hang out with owners of comic shops very often.
Gotcha.
But although you should contact That's Entertainment back in Worcester, Massachusetts, if you ever want to go home and see if they want to do something.
Yeah, let's go back there. Let's do a you'll do
Go back
stand
to
up.
that. See, I'll be your agent all of a sudden for signing appearances. No, but like when I saw Timmy, I was like, this was a match made in heaven. You guys are both awesome. You're both guests of the show in some
Yeah.
form or another. I like them, but I like you both. I obviously would go and support you at the signing and hang out and do whatever. But
That would be super cool. Yeah, I thank you. I'm the worst at like self promotion, like in person. Like on my Instagram and Twitter, yeah, I'll post stuff. Like when I have something cool to post, I'll absolutely do it.
no.
But I don't generally reach out to other people to say, "Hey, what can you help me do with, Primer or promote myself?" I don't. I just either do it myself on just my own social media, which is not the best way for me to get noticed. So this
Or wait for DC to tell you
yeah.
at the
Yeah.
last minute that you're doing a signing at Comic-Con.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah. Exactly. So again, Jennifer's much better at doing those kinds of things and setting it up. But yeah, no, that would be really fun. So thank you, Jeff.
I mean,
Thanks, buddy.
of course, like legitimately, of course. And if you are in Southern California, be on the lookout. I know that you guys have not hammered all the details out of that
Yeah.
specifically, but you've got a lot happening in the next few months. So I'm pretty sure that
That's
like a
good.
primer two signing schedule might not be the worst thing in the world.
That's what Timmy and I were talking about doing the
Yeah,
specifically for Primer 2 at Arsenal, which would be awesome.
yeah,
Yeah.
it would be awesome.
Awesome.
It would be awesome.
Arsenal.
If you guys do want to follow Tom on social media, his Instagram is Krajewski_Tom. That's KRAJEWSKI_TOM. I think you're the opposite on Twitter,
Yeah, because I don't know how
right?
to use social media and I
You're
make it
like
as difficult as
Tom
possible for people.
underscore Krajewski. Is that right?
I think so.
Or is it Thomas or Tom?
Honestly, I don't know.
Do you even
That's
use
how
that
bad I am.
anymore?
I do. I do. You can just type in Tom Krajewski into the search bar and you'll
Wait,
see a
is it
picture.
Krajewski?
I know it. You say it correctly, Krajewski. You're saying it the right, Polish way, but that's how I normally say it. But when I introduce myself to people, I say Krajewski because it'll make it easier for them to put that with the way it's spelled, which
I've
is Krajewski.
I've mentioned this to you before, but I dated
Yes.
a woman
Huh?
when I was in my 20s with the same last name.
Yeah.
And I
That's
was
crazy.
like, "Oh, so your last name is Krajewski?" And she's like, "It's Krajewski." And this is like
She
so like
miscorrected you.
so white dude in his 20s where I was just like, "No, it's not." Like I was just like so like, "What are you talking about?" No, it's not.
I know
So
your people. That's
when
not how
I
you say it.
when I met you, I think I asked you how you, and I think I said like, "How do you pronounce your name?"
Yeah.
Because I
Yeah.
know a girl who I'm still friends with, and she's awesome, by the way.
Oh, that's good.
She and I are
Yeah.
like are really good friends. She was 6 feet tall, and my roommate at the
Oh,
time was 6'7", and I was six
yeah.
four. So like, if we would all go to a restaurant, like the whole restaurant would stop and try to figure out what was going on. It was so funny. You'd be like, "What the are these guys doing here?"
She's a six. If she's 6 feet tall and she's a Krajewski, but she's 6 feet tall, we're not related. You know me.
Just
I'm
like,
like
yeah.
what 5'7" maybe on a
Are you
good
five
day.
seven, 5'8"? Yeah.
Oh, not 5'8", but 5'7". I'm a Tom Cruise
You're
height.
doing okay.
Oh yeah, no, I can't. I definitely can't
You have
complain.
an awesome life, and
I do.
you've had two super cool hot wives in your life. Like you're doing pretty great. Like
Thanks, bud.
whatever
I
you're doing,
appreciate that.
I wish I was as good as your apparently 5'7" isn't good enough ass, where you have just done incredible. I'm not writing primer.
Yeah, there's right. Yeah,
Yeah.
I've been again very fortunate, and
Yeah.
I
Like
enjoyed.
walking around your house with your wife, and I'm just sitting here alone, just being like, "So, you're Batman? You know, Batman?"
I think one reason, so my dad is like very Catholic, and so he goes to church a lot, and he prays a lot. So I'm like, and I know it because I'm not religious at all, but I think my dad prays for every one of us in the family, and I'm like, wow, maybe his prayers actually help me because knock on wood, I've got it pretty good. So, you know, there you go. Pray.
Yeah, I'm not going to do that. On Twitter/X, that's Twitter.
Yeah,
You are
whatever.
at Tom Krajewski, no underscore
Thank you.
TomKrajewski.
Thanks.
Be on the lookout for a lot of stuff from Tom. Tom, is there anything else we want to talk about before we go straight to the Patreon exclusive content, which you can get over at patreon.com/Jeff May if you are listening to this for free?
No, you covered it all. Thanks, bud. It was awesome talking to you. So I said everything I needed to say, I think.
All right. Well, we are going to say goodbye to the freeloaders, but not before I tell them all that if they are enjoying this, please do me a favor and rate, review, do all the stuff. I appreciate it. You can follow me at Hey There Jeffro on my social media, as well as my YouTube, where I open up packs of trading cards, and that's so fun. You can also hear all of the great stuff over at patreon.com/Jeff May for early access to uncensored episodes with bonus content, plus shows like Ugh Fine with Kim Kral and early access to Nerd with Dre Alvarez. Plus, on top of that, all Tom and Jeff Watch Batman on the Gamefully Unemployed Network, all the stuff I do with Adam Todd Brown on the You Don't Even Like Podcasts Network. Mint on Cards the second Friday of every month at Blast from the Past on Magnolia in beautiful Burbank, California. Our next show, April 12th, we are saying goodbye to one of our favorite comedians, Andy Peters. He is leaving Los Angeles. He's one of our favorites, and so we're definitely going to be saying goodbye to him on that day. But for now, freeloaders, we're going to see you in 2 weeks. Patrons, we're going to see you in, I don't know, like 7 seconds. So stick around. And Tom, say goodbye to the freeloaders.
Guys, thank you so much, freeloaders. Thanks for letting me waste your time today.
Not a waste at all. Thank you all so much. Patrons, stick around. We got more coming your way. Bye.
Hey everyone, our artwork is created by Justin T. Brown, who can be found at Artness by Justin Brown on Instagram, as well as artnessbyjustinbrown.com. That dope music you heard is by Troy Nababon, available at Troy Nababon on Instagram, as well as at troynababon.com. Nababon is spelled Nababan, and boy, does that shred. Thank you all so much for listening. See you next time.